Hey there, friends. Thank you so much for joining us on Weather Out West. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz. If you haven't joined us before, this is an hour-long show where we tell you what's happening weather-wise across the western United States. Today, we're going to kick things off in Portland, Oregon, as an atmospheric river is sending rounds of heavy rain, some thunderstorms and gusty winds to Oregon. Because of this, our weather team in Portland declared Wednesday and Thursday Weather Impact Alerts Day. Rod Hill has everything you need to know.
Not what the Chamber of Commerce wants to hear, but what a mess out there here in the Rose City this morning. We've had hours of rain, some puddles, and through it all, we've had quite a traffic snafu getting out the door this morning. We are awaiting, which are actually starting to develop, coming up the Willamette Valley, breezy to gusty south winds. And we think there could be some thunder mix in some of the heavier downpours that are also starting to increase around the area. We do have a KGW weather impact alert up for today, tonight, and tomorrow. It's important to note no watches, no warnings, no advisories from the National Weather Service. That's good news. That means there's a limit on what we expect weather-wise today. But with occasional downpours, breezy to gusty south winds that could spike as high as 40 and maybe a rumble of thunder, it's already a day that's kind of messing with people's routine, and folks will have to kind of plan their days around the active weather. Again, this is up for today, tonight, and tomorrow. Friday, we see showers end during the day. It might not be until later in the afternoon where we're completely dry. But when folks wake up Friday morning, it will be noticeably calmer. There won't be as much rain around. Radar this morning, and this isn't going to change much throughout the day, just showing the yellow, the heavy rain pockets in more areas than not picking up rain. We've had lightning detected offshore, but again, there is the threat that we could get some rumbles of thunder inland. So this is not something to really time out. It's just something to watch the pattern. So this is this morning. Here's later today at 4 o'clock. Notice not much of anything changes. It's not a steady rain, but it's numerous pockets of rain with heavy downpours embedded, and again, maybe a rumble of thunder. Now, if anything, we might see kind of a lull in the action with calmer winds and not as many showers overnight tonight. And that's because overnight tonight we'll be in the middle of fronts. There's a front coming in this morning. There's one coming in Thursday afternoon. So if anything, once we get into Thursday afternoon, the amount of rain in the area generally will be picking back up as that next front comes, and the wind gusts will probably be picking back up a little bit as well. These totals represent from 4 o'clock this morning through the day Friday. Over 2 inches of rain yet to come at the coast, over an inch of rain yet to come to the valley, and some decent rain amounts out across the east as well. Haven't talked much about the mountain, and that's because it's simply wet up there. Timberline's been in the upper 30s at 6,000 feet. The snow level could come down as low as about 5,000 feet today, maybe even 4,500 feet overnight tonight. That would produce at least some snow in the air at the lodge. We think passes generally over the Cascades in our region just stay wet, so good news there for travelers. Our coast camera, you can see the clouds and the raindrops. Same thing inland looking at the Rose City. Same thing looking at our beautiful capital down in Salem. Temperatures generally are about 50 out the door this morning. We'll spend most of the day in the mid to upper 50s at most. And notice statewide, we are looking at temperatures, primarily in the 50s. So again, the impact alert in red today through tomorrow for just the active weather. Friday morning, much quieter. By Friday night, I think all of the rain is out of here. So the forecast is dry Friday night, all of Saturday, and now all of Sundays. We've taken out that Sunday evening rain chance. So this will be the first completely dry weekend in some 5 weeks. How about that? Shower chances pick up to start next week.
And now taking you up to Seattle, rain, gusty winds, mountain snow, and coastal flooding. That's what Seattle's Rich Marriott is tracking it all for us in today's forecast.
Hi, I'm King 5 meteorologist Rich Marriott, and it was kind of a wet and blustery night last night on into this morning. We did see a lot of leaves come out of the trees, and those ended up clogging a lot of the storm drains early on for a lot of standing water at the start of the commute. We were in first alert weather mode for a while, but we're out of that now as we're just looking at some rain and the leaves not coming down quite as fiercely. eventually the trees will run out of leaves. At least I'm very hopeful that's going to take place. Look at the Bellingham Tower cam, looking pretty quiet right at the moment here, mid-morning. We're looking at cloudy skies. Doesn't look like much rain coming down, and the winds have died down for the time being, but they'll be picking back up again as we head towards this afternoon. There in Tacoma, also pretty quiet, though we've seen very little motion out of the Tacoma Dome flag through the morning, while we've been seeing those gusty winds out towards the Cascade foothills and up there north of Everett. But down around Pierce County, it's been pretty quiet, at least around the Tacoma Dome. Out along the coast, looking pretty wet right now, too, and they're going to continue to see that rain. We might see a little bit of a let up late today into early tomorrow, that little bit of a pause between the systems, and the next system moves in on Thursday. Looks like it might be even a little bit wetter. Checking those wind gusts overnight from our SchoolNet sites up there in the near the Cascade foothills, mostly in the 20 to 30 mile per hour range, not too extreme. It did bring down a few branches, though, apparently, because we did see a few hundred people with power outages this morning, and we did see a lot of leaves come down overnight as well, clogging those storm drains. You can see part of that's up and down the Sound. Near the Sound, we were actually looking at about the same wind gust area of about 20s to low 30s. Not enough to really damage anything, but enough to bring down more leaves and clog those drains, at least initially today. Weather Service has a winter weather advisory out for the North Cascades. Snow levels are actually running around 6,000 feet today, but up in the North Cascades, it's down around 5,000 feet. So we're seeing snow down to Washington and rainy passes on the North Cascades Highway. They could pick up anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of snow between now and Friday morning when that expires, and also could see some snow around the Mount Baker ski area as well. And as we head towards late in the week, we will see the snow levels drop down to 4,000 feet about the time we start to dry out. Checking some of our other watches and warnings, we have a flood watch out for Mason County. That's for this Skokomish River. We expect it to just barely get up into flood stage. The other rivers around western Washington, especially over in the Cascades, will get up to what they call action level, where you should keep track of what's going on if you live on a river or prepare for possible flooding. But at this point, it doesn't look like that's going to be happening. And probably the biggest item is out towards the coast. We're back into king tide season here for November, December, and January, and we'll see those peaking out here in the next few days. That combined with some very large swell that are coming to the coast. There's in fact a heavy surf advisory out there along the coast. We're going to be looking for the possibility of moderate to major flooding, coastal flooding out there during the day today and tomorrow because of that, and that's the reason they have the coastal flood warning out. Not quite as severe for about Pacific County southward. We're looking at a coastal flood advisory. Checking our extended forecast, so dropped out of first alert weather mode for the remainder of today, and we'll be seeing those temperatures warm up this afternoon. Still going to be rainy and breezy, but could get to the upper 50s to near 60 degrees. Thursday, look for rainy and breezy again. Again, that system might even be wetter tomorrow afternoon potentially, but once that moves through, we gradually dry out on Friday, and it looks like the weekend should be in pretty good shape. Checking the satellite image, you can see this system going through, and then the one for Thursday is just starting to develop down here, and that is going to rotate into us as we head on towards tomorrow, and especially in the afternoon tomorrow, we'll see that pushing through there, really wetting things down overall. And you can see there at Mount Rainier looking pretty wet this morning. They're at a little over 5,000 feet, so you can see that snow level in the Cascades, south of the North Cascades, were definitely above the pass levels, and there at Mount Rainier. Over the passes, barren wet pavement as well this morning. And checking out that snow level, you can see we stay pretty high today, and then we dropped about 5,000 feet tomorrow, 3,500 feet on Friday, still above Snoqualmie Pass. And even for Stevens and White Passes, it doesn't look like we're going to accumulate much in the way of snow as we dry out. Then over the weekend with that dry weather, we pop all the way up to 9,000 to 10,000 to 11,000 feet. So definitely not good to winter snowpack building weather. So overall, ended first alert weather for the remainder of the day. We're going to be looking for another rainy and breezy day tomorrow, hopefully with fewer leaves involved. We'll look for decreasing showers Friday with some clearing. Partly sunny for Saturday and Sunday. Maybe some rain moving in late Sunday or early Monday. Temperatures warming up again on Sunday, pushing that 60-degree mark. That turns to showers Monday and maybe a couple leftover showers Tuesday. A little drier as we head into next week with highs dropping back to the mid-50s.
Rescue operations are underway as Typhoon Kolmaigi kills at least 80 people across the Philippines. Video shared by the Philippine Red Cross shows rescue teams conducting water operations. You see that right there. New footage shows the aftermath and devastation that Kolmaigi left on the island. You can see the widespread flooding of cars, homes, and businesses all submerged in the central Philippine town of Tungkol. And the Trump administration is providing $24 million in emergency assistance to countries hit by Hurricane Melissa. That breaks down to $12 million in assistance for Jamaica, $8.5 million for Haiti, $3 million for Cuba, and $500,000 for the Bahamas. Now, this funding will be used for housing, water, food, sanitation, and emergency health care. The U.S. expects to announce additional assistance packages in the coming days after personnel on the ground further assess the damage. Now, coming up next, we're going to have more forecasts for you. Be sure to stick with us. The same atmospheric river drenching the Pacific Northwest is also impacting Northern California with rain, gusty winds, and the chance for some thunderstorms. That's why our Sacramento weather team issued a weather impact alert for today. Monica Woods breaks it all down.
I'm meteorologist Monica Woods, and we're checking out a warm atmospheric river storm that's going to come rolling through northern and central California into our Wednesday. You can see the big plume of moisture pulling in from the Pacific, and this is going to stretch all the way in through the central coast, bringing measurable precipitation. So our headlines include that weather impact alert. Timing, when? Wednesday. The impact being rain, windy weather, as well as cooler conditions. So need to plan for those changes. It has been so unseasonably warm here recently, but now we're really going to shift gears with a slight chance of thunderstorms as well, especially north of I-80 and slightly into the Tahoe Basin as well. This really starts to ramp up into our Wednesday, with the biggest band of precipitation actually hitting right about the morning commute, especially for the capital region, and then quickly moving off to the east. Now, initially, we're going to see our snow line right about the pass level along 80 and 50, 88 and 89. But as that warmer sector of the storm really starts to make its impact, those snow levels actually go up during the day to almost 9,000 feet. So we're not going to see a ton of accumulated snow. Anything that we pick up during the morning is quickly going to melt with some of the warmer part of the storm coming on through. That tends to give us higher precipitation totals when we have those warmer storms. This will roll out of here by Wednesday evening, and we're right back to the dry weather with some showers kind of hanging in along the California-Oregon border in through our Thursday, but the rest of, at least most of California is starting to dry out. Our future rain totals look like about a quarter of an inch to a half an inch from about Sacramento through the northern San Joaquin Valley. Now, in the northern part of the valley, about an inch plus of rainfall, and we'll see that in the foothills as well. Checking out those temperatures, as I mentioned, we're going to start off with some cool weather and then kind of get warmer during the middle part of the day. That's going to drive up those snow levels for Truckee and South Lake Tahoe. We're in the mid to upper 40s for the afternoon, with 50s down low throughout the foothills. As we move our way southward through the central Sierra, highs are going to be in the mid 50s for Yosemite. So even some of those higher peaks still going to be a mix of rain and snow with this warm atmospheric river storm. For the valley, we're going to cool those conditions, though, into the 60s. Lots of cloud cover and just kind of a showery day for us, especially during the afternoon, with the biggest bulk of precipitation coming earlier in the day. Central coast highs are going to warm into the 60s. We've got the morning rain, afternoon showers. Inland areas are right about 70 to 75 degrees for the afternoon. Bay Area forecast, we're in the lower 60s. As we head inland, we're still in the low to mid 60s as well. That's going to take us below average. We're close to 60 along the northwest coast. North end of the valley, only in the upper 50s for afternoon highs for the northern Sacramento Valley. And for the capital region, highs are going to be in the lower 60s. This is a solid 10-degree drop from where we've been earlier in the week. A look at our 5-day regional forecast. As you can see, the showery weather certainly is going to stand out here for our Wednesday. And then things start to dry out, warm up just in time for the weekend. Another great weekend for us here as we head into the second one of November. Looking at that extended forecast, we've got our weather impact alert in place for our Wednesday with that rain coming in, highs in the low 60s. You can see how things start to warm up and dry out. The highs will be in the low to mid 70s, actually above average for the upcoming weekend. And heading into Veterans Day also is going to be a dry one. Then it's very possible we head right back into an active weather period by the middle of next week.
And the recent mass of warm water California has been getting is one of the largest on record. Scientists say it may be pushing whales closer to shore as their food moves away from deeper waters. It could also be driving wetter, more humid conditions on land. Marine scientists have seen similar migrations during earlier marine heat waves, and they say they can put the whales on a collision course that leaves them vulnerable to being hit by ships or tangled in fishing nets.
So it's definitely important to pay attention to the ocean conditions and temperatures to understand where the whales may be. And that could help us in being more proactive about our management efforts and finding ways to reduce the co-occurrence or the risk of co-occurrence between large whales and human activity.
Some observers believe there's a chance this blob could dissipate sooner than some earlier heat waves because of its large size and shallow depth. For the time being, researchers are tracking an ocean phenomena invisible to the rest of us, but with critical impact for the marine life off the coast. Now, before we get to the forecast from San Diego's Vanessa Paz, a new study ranks San Diego as having the most ideal climate in the country. That's according to the Camelot Index on Climates that was put together by a meteorologist in the Bay Area. The index scores cities based on temperature, sunshine, and humidity. San Diego's steady, mild temperatures, dry summers, and just enough rainfall gave them the #1 spot. San Francisco, Los Angeles, Sacramento, and Eureka made the rest of the top 5 in that order. And with that, Vanessa Paz is tracking cooler and blustery conditions, but a weekend warm-up is expected.
We are halfway through the work week. Happy Wednesday. I'm CBS 8 meteorologist Vanessa Paz. Shout out to Anne Lombrazzo, who sent in this photo of the supermoon, the Beaver supermoon that so many of us got to catch a glimpse of. We did have clouds roll in that kind of obscured the view late last night, but hopefully you were able to catch a peek of it, even if it was only for a few moments. So yeah, incredible photos that are coming into our newsroom of last night's. All right, as we take a look at your headlines, we're looking at a cooling trend continuing. We have certainly been enjoying these fall-like conditions here in San Diego. And I know it's kind of funny saying fall-like when so many parts of the country, I mean, they're dropping down to the 50s and 40s. But for us, yeah, 60s is what we contend with when it comes to those comfortable fall-like conditions. Cooling trend will continue along with the increasing winds towards the mountains and desert areas, and the temperatures will unfortunately start to climb towards the end of the week into the weekend. So here's what we have on top for high temperatures across the board this Wednesday afternoon. We'll be climbing into the high 60s from Oceanside all the way down to about Chula Vista. We'll be about 4 degrees warmer for interior parts of the county. Those neighborhoods that hug the 15 freeway from Fallbrook all the way down to La Mesa will climb into the low 70s this afternoon. Very comfortable temperatures. Mid 70s in Ramona later on today, 64 in Palomar and Mountain, and some of our mountain neighborhoods, including Julian, will produce highs in the upper 60s. Meanwhile, 87 is what I'm forecasting for Borrego Springs. All right, the winds are going to have southerly direction, climbing north from the south, and they will have an uptick. Not enough to warrant a wind advisory, but again, we are expecting gusts anywhere between 30 to 40 miles per hour or so, and that's something to keep in mind if those traveling are in a high profile vehicle or maybe a camper or semi. Maybe hold off on travel until things simmer down early tomorrow morning. The wind gusts will change directions out of the east, and that will allow for some warming and drying things out. We are looking at extremely high tides and extreme low tides. I mean, low tide will be at a negative foot or so just before 3 o'clock this afternoon, which is very cool for our kids, especially those who like to go tide pooling. The surf is going to also have a kick anywhere between 3 to 4 feet with sets up to 5 feet. So we have a swell moving in that will beef up the waves. And then, of course, we have that supermoon, which impacts, again, those waves and, of course, the tides as well. All right, rip current risk at a high level. So those who are headed to the beaches should steer clear of those big waves and swim near a lifeguard, or maybe stay out of the water until the rip currents kind of subside, looking ahead towards the end of the week. High temperatures for tomorrow afternoon will climb into the low 70s. So a lot of areas will remain cool Thursday, but as we take a glimpse into the future here, Thursday into Friday, we'll have ridging build, and that will warm things up as we inch towards the weekend. So let's go ahead and quickly roll out your coastal and inland 7-day forecast. It looks a little bit like this, low 70s up until about Sunday. And then on Wednesday, we're actually tracking the potential for some showers. As of right now, the models are still uncertain about the timing and the totals, but yeah, we could get clipped with some shower activity, which is good because we are in desperate need of rain. Mountains and desert areas, meanwhile, warming this weekend, and everyone starts to cool down towards the middle of next week.
Coming up after the break, we're going to stay in San Diego to learn about a repair center aimed at keeping stuff out of our landfills. Welcome back to Weather Out West. Broken appliances used to go to repair shops, or we fix them ourselves. That's very rare today. The Reuse and Repair Collective keeps appliances out of landfills and saves resources. San Diego's Sean Stiles has much more.
It seems like we live in a throwaway society where appliances like this iron that doesn't work get thrown in the landfill. Well, the folks here at the Reuse and Repair Collective are out to change that attitude completely. They want to teach you how to repair your appliances and keep using them instead of throwing them in the landfill.
And see if we can access the internals of this device.
The Collective's grand opening was on September 25th, and they want San Diegans to know they don't have to throw it away.
And now we're in the bike shop. And where the bike shop is, we do teach people how to do minor repairs like changing your tires.
Laura Anthony is the founder of Reuse and Repair Collective. She brings experts together who volunteer to share their knowledge with people.
We wanted to have a space in San Diego to allow the community to come in to repair some of their favorite items. It could be small appliances, it could be textiles, it could be bicycles.
By teaching people how to repair instead of throwing away, it extends the life of appliances as well as keeping them out of the landfill.
So the idea is to kind of conserve our resources, our natural resources, learn skills on how to keep things longer.
To help people fix and learn how to repair,
These are fairly high voltage devices.
volunteers like Paul Gutierrez help people fix things like the iron I brought in.
And while I'm working through it, I can, communicate what I'm looking at with the person who brought the device and tell them, well, this part does this part does that. Now we can troubleshoot and see where the disconnection or where the problem might be happening and figure out what needs to happen for us to be able to get it working again.
The Collective does more than appliances. You can learn how to fix your bike or maybe some clothing.
And now let's go into the textile room. And in the textile room, we have sewing machines where we're going to teach you how to sew. We'll teach you how to do minor repairs like putting on a button, a zipper, or some hemming. Also, if you have a project that you want to do but you aren't confident doing it, we have the knowledge to help you prepare that project.
Checking in with Paul on the iron, as usual, it's an easy fix.
So we've narrowed it down to this wire right here. I'm going to cut it and splice it.
Paul strips the insulation off the wires and then splices them back together.
What is that little piece that you just put on there? That's a wire nut. It's used to splice two pieces of copper wire together.
And if you already have the knowledge but need a special tool, the Collective can help you with that in their tool room. Here you'll find screwdrivers, Dremel bits, pipe wrenches, drill bits, micro drivers, just about anything you can imagine. And it's all here on a loaner basis.
Yeah, I think we've got it. There it is. It no longer turns off when you pull the cord.
And what do people say to Paul when he's helped them fix the appliance they brought in?
They're usually very surprised that it was something that they could have done at home, and they thank me for showing them the way.
So a simple repair on appliance that probably would get thrown away. Paul showed us how to do it. He can show you how to do it here at the Reuse and Repair Collective. If you'd like to learn more about what they're doing and the clinics they have, I'll put a link on this web story so you can find out more about them. Sean Stiles, Earth 8.
Coming up after the break, we're headed up to the Northwest again. We're going to have forecasts from Spokane, Washington, and Boise, Idaho. Thank you so much for sticking with us here on Weather Out West. We have more stories ahead, but first, let's take you to Spokane because it's been a soggy start to November, but the rain much needed, and they're not done with the rain just yet. Brandon Jones is tracking it all for you in today's forecast.
We've got another wet and breezy day here in the inland Northwest, but I mean, it's overall perfect fall conditions. How can you not just enjoy those beautiful fall colors down there at Riverfront Park? Hi there, everyone. I'm Brandon T. Jones here with a look at your weather out west here in Spokane, Washington. Taking a look over there at Riverfront Park, our main weather headlines here on this Wednesday. More rain, more mountain snow. I know that rain isn't something that a lot of us are, too fazed by, especially this time of the year. But I know something that a lot of folks are also celebrating, more mountain snow. It's another day closer to having those slopes back up and open. Also a breezy fall day as well. So temperatures are going to be relatively mild and actually hitting the 50s as our high for the day. But that breeze, those breezy conditions will still make it feel like it's pretty chilly depending on when you're outside today. Again, though, high of 52 here in Spokane, 50 over there in Coeur d'Alene, 49 out there by Wilbur, 51 in Moses Lake. So a lot of 50s here on our map, a lot of high 40s as well. Again, nice and mild temperatures though. As we fast forward and take a look at our future tracker, monitoring all of the rain that's making our way through the region today and tomorrow as well. Similar conditions today and tomorrow, and even on Friday, expecting some more rainy conditions, but on Friday as well, it may start to dry out. So as we continue to make our way through, you take a look and you see all of that system just kind of gradually making its way throughout the inland Northwest. And then Saturday, look, I mean, you might have a little bit of clouds or so, but overall, it's looking like nice, clear conditions. So it's a good opportunity to potentially get outside this weekend as well. Do any of your outdoor chores that you may have been procrastinating on. I'm kind of speaking from experience. That's my plan. I'll have to get outside and take care of the lawn, get those leaves raked up. As for our forecasted high, it's not too far off our typical average. Our typical average on a November 5th would be 47 degrees. We're about 5 degrees higher than that. So nothing too drastic in one direction or the other. Again, taking a look at our day planner, rainy conditions, afternoon and evening. Expect on and off showers here throughout the afternoon and to those evening hours, kind of lingering around towards those morning hours for Thursday as well. But we keep talking about these rain chances. Again, there is a potential chance things go and dry out, which is kind of the reverse of the trend we've been seeing over the last month, where things have been nice and dry over the duration of weekdays. Then weekends, for the last month, again, it's been raining almost every single weekend. Things look like they're going to be switching up. Of course, we'll keep a close eye on that. Things could change up. But as for right now, Saturday and Sunday are looking like perfect fall days to be outside. As we pull up that 7-day forecast, take a look at it. Again, trends pretty much show that you're going to be having a lot of rain over the next few days. Again, Saturday and Sunday drying out before those rain chances return to the forecast once again on Monday.
And in southwestern Idaho, a cold front will bring gusty winds and a couple of showers, then all over again Friday morning. Hector Mendoza has the timing in his forecast.
Well, it was a beautiful day yesterday, and this is a look at a street here in Boise, Harrison Boulevard. This is where we see a little bit more of some of those wet roads there that we saw some of that rain falling there in through Boise early yesterday morning. And then we saw those beautiful colors there. Just a beautiful walk there. Thank you so much, Scott McDaniel, for posting this on our Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook page. And then later on that night, we saw November's supermoon, the Beaver Moon. And this is just a beautiful shot there from last night. Deborah McKnight posted this on our Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook page. But not a lot of folks got those clear conditions that Deborah got here. As we see, Sharon posted this on our Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook page. You can see it just shrouded by some of those clouds, so not nearly as bright as we saw there. But this appears to be the biggest and brightest moon here so far for this year, but our next supermoon comes along December 4th on a Thursday. That will be considered the cold moon, and that's when we're expecting to see the next supermoon that comes along here for the month of December. But as we look at our satellite and radar picture, not much really happening here early on this morning and then through the early portion of the afternoon. It's not until later that we're going to start to see a little bit more of that rain start to fill in through portions of the mountains. And then through this evening and in through tonight, we'll see a little bit more start to trickle in through the Treasure Valley. So as we zoom on out, it's going to be this system that's going to come in. We're also going to see a cold front that's going to bring in some more of those breezier conditions. We're also going to see a cool down that comes in through tomorrow. But ahead of the showers and ahead of the system, we do see some of those winds that really start to pick up as we're going to see it continue off into the east, already filling areas there through Washington and then through Oregon here through this morning. And again, as I mentioned, we see those winds pick up, and there is a wind advisory that's set into place for the rest of this afternoon. That is due to the potential for some of these wind gusts in some of these areas shaded in that tan to reach up to 55 miles an hour, as you can see across southeast Oregon. And then you can see in portions of the Owyhee Mountains where we're going to see much more gustier conditions. But we are still anticipating some of those breezy winds, not nearly as gusty as it's going to be down further south into some of those mountain spots through the Owyhees, but still 20 to 25 mile per hour wind gusts will continue all the way through the afternoon and even in through the evening before we see those winds lighten up just a bit. But after that, we're going to see some of that rain start to trickle in. So through this afternoon and continuing on through the evening, that's when we will see a little bit more of those wet conditions there through the Treasure Valley. That'll continue on through early Thursday morning, and we could see a little bit more of those wet roads for that morning commute. Temperatures will continue to stay pretty mild there as we'll continue with some of those clouds, and then we're expecting to cool down and stick around those mid to upper 50s for tomorrow before we see another round of precipitation that comes along through Friday morning and then continues on in through Friday afternoon, as we'll see a little bit more of that start to make its way through and through the Magic Valley. And speaking of the Magic Valley, this is where we expect to see a little bit more of those showers as we head on in through Friday. Temperatures will drop down into those low 50s. Morning temperatures are going to drop down into some of those freezing territories through Saturday, but we start to dry up and see a little bit more of a warming trend returning back into the 60s for Monday and Tuesday. And that's pretty much the similar trend we're going to see here on our 7-day forecast through Boise, as we are going to see those temperatures back down to more seasonal territory through Friday and Saturday, and that's where we're going to see a little bit of the switch up as unsettled weather finishes up there through Friday evening, and then we'll continue to see those drier conditions back into the upper 50s by Tuesday.
Staying in Boise, if you're ready to hit the slopes, good news. There will be more mountain to explore in Idaho this winter. Sun Valley Resort is adding 90 acres of new graded terrain as part of a forest health project. And Tamarack is turning land scorched by last summer's wildfire into 60 acres of new advanced runs. Bogus Basin is testing a new snow storage system, in Silver Mountain, Kelly Canyon, and Magic Mountain all added new glades and beginner areas. Most of Idaho's ski areas plan to open before Thanksgiving, so just a couple of weeks away. Next up, we're going to check in with our weather teams in Phoenix and Denver for the forecast. Welcome back to Weather Out West. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz. Now let's take you to Arizona, where warmer than normal temperatures are expected with beautiful November sunshine. But are there any changes on the horizon? Well, Phoenix's Ginger Jeffries has that answer in today's forecast.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries with a look at your weather out west across Arizona, where we are one of the prime candidates to see this. Yes, the supermoon, courtesy of our dark skies, clear skies. Yeah, we're getting pretty incredible views of the supermoon. Of course, 30% brighter, appearing 14% larger. And yeah, our 12 News weather watchers all over the place capturing these incredible views. You'll get another round tonight as well, because our skies once again are going to stay clear. And wow, do I recommend getting outside during the evening hours, because during the day we are still a little bit on the warmer side. Still going to see some 90s on the board. I think it's going to be in Gila Bend, but upper 80s, like 89 today in Parker, 89 for Havasu. Upper 60s at the Grand Canyon, where we've got a couple thin clouds. 64 in Flagstaff. I've got 70 in Show Low, 86 in Tucson, and 88 degrees today in Phoenix. As we look ahead, now what's normal for us this time of the year, 81 degrees. As you can see, no 81s on the board. We're going to stay slightly elevated. Similar scenario for higher elevations, as the mountains are going to be in the mid to upper 60s, but these overnights are very conducive for the snowmaking. So we want to see them stay closer to the point of freezing, 32 degrees. Overnights helpful, dry air helpful, but it's what's happening during the day not so helpful. We want to bring those numbers down a smidge. Now, another number that's kind of on my radar right here is early part of next week. We are getting up close to 90 degrees. We did that yesterday with 91. It's awfully late in the season, but that 91 yesterday put our grand total at 180 days in the 190s for this year, which is above the normal range. So next week I do have upper 80s on the board. I'm going to hold off on calling for more 90s. This warm air next week, though, is preceding a cold front that, oh, here we go, has the potential to bring in some rain. I know it's a long range forecast, but it's something I'm watching for because we've been high and dry for a bit and we are due for some rain. So it looks like there is some potential for some showers by about Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Of course, I will keep you posted on that. Meantime, it is going to be sunny. It is going to be warm. We still have a couple of thin clouds just kind of lingering off in the distance. Nothing like we saw on Monday. So it's not necessarily going to filter the sunlight, and it's not going to allow us to drop down to our normal range of, like I mentioned, 81 degrees. The good news is, even though we're riding on the high side, we're not up at our record territory. Wow, you remember that one? 99 degrees in 2020. I said to capitalize on the evenings, enjoy the supermoon because it's going to be mostly clear and cool, dropping down to about 61 tonight. Tomorrow, we continue to shave down these high temperatures. We're at about 85 degrees tomorrow. Mostly clear skies. I've got mid 60s for Flagstaff. So yeah, it does look like the warmest day of the week is out of the way, but we are staying above the normal range through the weekend. And then look, there's that cloud buildup early part of next week, which may produce some showers in the valley by the middle part of next week. Otherwise, our temperature stretch is going to be between about 85 to 89 degrees, above the normal range, but certainly not record heat.
Now let's head on up to Colorado, where they're expecting mild and dry weather in Denver. Kathy Sabin tells us how long this weather pattern is going to last. Plus, it's been a snowless autumn so far in Denver. Katie LaSalle tells us how unusual this is and if there are any signs of snow.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin. We have been enjoying an unusual summer-like weather pattern in November. And because of the warm, dry weather, we have concerns about elevated fire danger. We also have a big football game on Thursday, and at least the weather for that looks like it's going to be great. High pressure is our dominant feature. It's keeping the storm track to the north of us. And this is a river of air 3 to 5 miles above us that carries storms in or out of Colorado. With high pressure bending that storm track north, storms come into the Pacific Northwest and go right over the top of our state. But there is a little shift in the pattern in the Pacific and Pacific Northwest. The atmospheric river, a stream of moisture coming in off the Pacific that will continue for days on end, leading to some heavy rain and maybe even some flooding concerns for the Bay Area with heavy snow potential in the Sierras and the Cascades. But when that atmospheric river and all of that water hits the high pressure ridge, it all goes north of us and we miss out on everything. We have some heavy rain coming from San Francisco, Portland, and Seattle, snow up into Boise and Billings, maybe a little bit of light mountain snow, the northern mountains on Thursday, but Denver looks to stay dry and we're past the date for our first snowfall for the season. And we don't see appreciable moisture over the next 5 to 7 days in the form of rain or snow. So other than high and mid-layer clouds coming in from time to time, temperatures are going to trend above average for the next 5 to 7 days. So this morning we start in the 40s. This afternoon we're in the mid-60s, more sun than clouds. Temperatures will bob from the mid-60s to the low 70s heading into the second half of the week. We have a cooler weather trend over the weekend, and then the temperatures rebound again back to 69 on Monday and 70 next Tuesday. Big, beautiful full moon Wednesday, and again, all eyes on the Broncos game on Thursday night, which right now looks to be pretty nice for football.
I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team's Katie LaSalle. This Wednesday, I want to talk about snowpack here in Colorado. We are not talking any major snowstorms for Colorado's high country. It has been cold enough for some of our ski resorts to be making snow, but I was just looking at our snowpack 2024. This time last year, we were at over 330% of the median. We have not seen any major systems really impacting any of our river basins. So right now we're sitting at 26% of our median for Colorado's snowpack here statewide, and you combine that with some drought conditions, we could definitely use some snowfall into especially our central high country, still dealing with extreme drought over portions of our central mountains and severe drought over a lot of our northern and central high country. It's been a long time also since Denver has seen snow. We are not seeing drought conditions in Denver and out to the airport, but this is a long stretch for us. Comparatively speaking, 201 days since Denver has seen its last snow. That is the 16th longest streak on record. The most we've ever seen is 232 days, both in the years of 2021 and 1887. We are inching closer to that. We are just dealing with a dry and mild weather pattern. We saw 70s in town yesterday, upper 60s today, above average temperatures. But for the next 7 to 10 days, we are not talking the chance for snowfall as this ridge of high pressure continues to stay in control here across the Denver metro area and a big portion of the state.
And even though Denver is not getting snow in the metro area, avalanche season has started for them. The Colorado Avalanche Information Center says anytime there's snow on the ground, there's a threat for avalanches. There have already been a few small ones in the San Juan Mountains. Starting tomorrow, the CAIC will start issuing avalanche forecast. Anyone heading into the backcountry is encouraged to check online and pack avalanche safety equipment. And then as we get closer into the winter months, you can always check in with NWAC if you live in the Pacific Northwest, as they will also have some of those avalanche forecasts for you. All right, so coming up next, we are going to, since we are in the fall season, that's going to lead to many to change scenery to spot the beautiful fall foliage. We're well into the fall season, as you well know, and this leads to many change of scenery to spot the beautiful fall foliage in other parts of the country. But this year's drought could dampen those views. San Diego's Evan Noorani explains why in today's Earth 8 report.
Every fall, the New England states draw visitors from around the world, hoping to catch the fresh fall foliage.
We get so many people up here that are coming up to check out all the leaves, the fall colors.
It's not as bright this year, but there are some pockets.
The vibrant yellow, orange, and red leaves still cover the trees and ground, but this year a drought has led to muted autumn colors.
There's sort of these 4 levers that you can kind of dial up, and they all kind of do their own little thing, right? So those 4 levers are your temperature, your precipitation, your light levels, and then stress.
One lever proving to have an effect around the country: precipitation. The U.S. Drought Monitor classified 40% of the U.S. as in a drought in the month of October. It's considered severe for all in San Diego County. Still, many southern states can expect fall foliage to arrive in the coming months, lagging behind the northern half of the country.
It's going to still drive up the beautiful yellows and oranges, so I think we'll still see that. But unfortunately, I do think the reds will probably be a little bit stunted. I don't think we're going to get as rich color in the reds and the deep purples as we'd probably like to see.
In San Diego, peak fall foliage is expected closer to mid-November, with our local mountains showing the most change. As of this week, views showed only minor sways in color in areas like Julian and Mount Laguna.
But I've learned over the years to not search for peak and appreciate the pockets.
So get out and enjoy the fall weather, but be warned, those leaves may not be as bright this year as in years past. Evan Noorani, CBS 8.
Before we let you go for the day, I wanted to take a final check on the forecast just to show you what's going on with this atmospheric river. We have heavy rain pushing over the Pacific Northwest, even a couple of thunderstorms out there from the state line from Oregon and Washington all the way down into Northern California. There is a level 1 marginal risk for severe weather, mainly for the threat for some strong wind gusts. But we have a lot of weather alerts all up and down the West Coast, including a coastal flood warning for the North Coast and portions of southern Washington near the beaches because of storm surge, as well as those really high tides, including a wind advisory for portions of Sacramento as well. In terms of timing of the rain, you see how it just continues off and on for Wednesday into Thursday, and then after Thursday things start to wind down and it's looking like a drier weekend for a good chunk of the West Coast. That's going to do it for us here on Weather Out West today. I'm Ashley Ruiz, and we thank you so much for being with us today, and we hope to see you again tomorrow.